Good evening. This is Frank Rock. This is the House of Orange YouTube channel. I appreciate you guys tuning in. Tennessee goes to Starkville and loses 77-72 to Mississippi State tonight. I got a lot of thoughts on this one. As I get into it, before we get any further, thank you guys for tuning in. Hit that like button if you like what I'm bringing to you. Share it out. Subscribe. That's greatly appreciated. Dropped a couple videos earlier today. Had talked about the transfer portal additions. I've been advertising that all week. Transfer portal additions for baseball and how they'll affect the team moving forward. And then, of course, the big news tonight out of college football, Nick Saban does retire from Alabama. And I dropped a video on that on how I feel that will affect Tennessee. And it does have could have some big effects on them in the especially the not too distant future. But once again, Mississippi State 77-72. So we'll get right into it tonight. This game played out a lot like I thought, even though I predicted Tennessee to win 63-57. A little higher score game than I anticipated. The numbers were about where I thought they were. Mississippi State was pretty much on average with theirs. Tennessee below average in some categories, and I think that ended up being the difference. But a couple things I'll get to on my third bullet point that I really – these are points last year that really got to me, and it's the same thing again this year. I'm going to call some people out on this team tonight, and it's people that's been there. You can probably figure it out pretty easily. But so I'm going to pull up the stats here looking at, of course, let's see here. Let me remove that off here. Let's try this again. There we go. So now, look at the box score. So Jonas Adu, 9 points, fouled out of the game tonight. That was big. He had 5 rebounds, but not one of his better nights. Dalton Connect, Zakai Ziegler, I'll talk about them here at my second bullet point, but they carried this team tonight. The next two guys in this starting lineup, I've got some strong feelings on them. Vescovy, 2 points, James, 3 points, and then the bench tonight. Awaka, 4 points, 6 rebounds. Justin Gainey, absolutely nothing again. And then Jemai Mashak, at least he contributed some rebounds in here tonight. But looking at Mississippi State, did a pretty good job overall, but they had 2 guys, not Tulu Smith and then Hubbard, 23 and 25. Those guys were huge tonight. Of course, Smith with the bucket at the end and the and one, which ended up being the difference. Tennessee got a shot at it, got a rebound, and then, just an inexcusable steal where Mississippi State was able to go down and get a dunk that iced the game. But look at the team stats here as well as I look at that. Nothing really stood out. I mean, field goal percentages, Mississippi State was 50%. That is, a bit higher for sure. But 3-point percentages, Tennessee 8 of 29. They continue to chuck and fire threes, and they can't hit shit. This team is not a 3-point. It's the same thing. It's what we're going to see come March. So I said, yeah, this team does have a ceiling. They could win a championship. But what you're going to look at, you're going to see them pick down their leg one night and go 27.6% from the field. The difference is Mississippi State was about 72% free throws, Tennessee 77. Well, there's your difference. A big difference. Not the difference, but a big difference. Tennessee 62.5%, 10 out of 16 night rebounds. Were even 33 apiece. Tennessee had a rebound advantage for a good while. Mississippi State cut that down and tied it toward the end. Assists were even. Tennessee had more steals, even on blocks. Mississippi State had 2 more turnovers. Tennessee had more fast break points. Points in the paint, pretty even. Fouls, Tennessee had 4 more. But, I mean, when it boils down to it, that first half, Tennessee got down big, and they had just, a big issue coming back from that. That was just something that they couldn't come back from. That they come back and tied it for sure, but when it boiled down to it, that deficit, it's like they got it tied some, but they couldn't get over that hump, and they had chances. Zakai Ziegler, had some moments there where a little careless with the ball tonight. He in the first half alone had, I think, 3 turnovers, and of course he had 3 for the game. Settled down, and he really, you know, did a lot that second half. He carried them for a point in time. Dalton Connect 28. Without those two guys tonight, this team gets blown out of the gym. There's no doubt about it. They both Connect was back tonight. He took over for a point in time. If it wasn't him, it was Ziegler. Everybody else just stood around watching. Stood around watching, which brings me to my bullet point number 3. Super seniors, not super tonight. And we can't play freshmen here. Freddie DeLeon can't get on the court. I know he's been injured some. You know, we got other freshmen. Don't want to play them. Cam Carr, we don't want to give him a chance. DJ Jefferson, I don't know everything. Maybe these guys are in the doghouse, can't get out of it. But I'll be damned if we don't sit and watch Vescovy game after game bring nothing to this table. Brings nothing. A super senior on the road in an SEC environment should be stepping up. Instead, 2 points, non-existent. Josiah Jordan James, 1 out of 8, 3 points. These two guys should be carrying this team. They are what they are at this point. When you get to March, if you're relying on these two guys, you're going out. All right? They can contribute. They'll have their nights. I mean, James had his night against North Carolina State where he led the team in scoring, but that was the outlier. That wasn't the norm. Vescovy had his game against Kansas, 20-some points, kept them in it to an extent. That was the outlier. Other than that, he's been right around 10 points at best. And there's been numerous games he hasn't even shown up. He might as well not even get off the bus. If this team is going to make a run in March, if they're going to go deep, these two super seniors who've been around for a while, I watched them both play as freshmen in Columbia right before we went to COVID, right before everything was shut down. I watched Vescovy make turnovers for one of his first games. I watched James miss an easy shot that would have tied the game, if not won it at the buzzer. Story of their careers right there. There was a part of me was glad they came back. There was a part of me wasn't, because I'm ready for new blood to come in here. And, you know, James has been pretty solid. I will give him credit, but it's still, I think it's inexcusable for him to have games like that tonight. Vescovy, there was a point Rick Barnes benched him. You might as well bench him, but I don't know who you're bringing in. Justin Gainey can't do anything right now. I mean, Meshack had 10 against Ole Miss, but he's not an offensive guy. He's not in for his offense. Most of the time, if he's in, you're playing 4-on-5 offensively. You put a walk in with him, you're playing 3-on-5, basically. Rick Barnes has got to change his recruiting. Instead of recruiting projects who can play defense, well, good for them and rebound. In this day and age, you better be able to score points. He doesn't. It's very rare, if at all, he can put a lineup in where there's 5 guys who could score points. Maybe it's just a rant. Maybe it's aggravation. But, you know, and I'm not taking anything away from Mississippi State. Hats off to them. They were 19th in defense coming in. They made Tennessee earn it a lot of the night. I don't think their game plan was to take out Vescovy and James. Vescovy had some shots when Tennessee made it run. Had 2 wide open threes and claimed them. That's inexcusable for a guy who's played as much basketball as him. Inexcusable. I want to see a DeLeon or somebody like that get a chance. Tired of hearing this crap about, oh, they can't do defense, yada, yada. At what point does it cancel out if you can't score? I said it in football, although I hadn't started this channel in football, so I'm talking with friends. If I'm going to play Joe Milton and I'm going to condense down the offense, I'm going to vanilla it down because I don't trust ever how many years senior he was at that point. I might as well play the freshman and let him make mistakes. It's the same thing with Vescovy. If this guy's going to get in and make freshman mistakes, he had a killer turnover late in the game trying to bounce it in, and it was a turnover, went the other way. If you're a liability as a fifth-year senior, put the freshman in, give them a chance. If they go upside, if they can drive it to the hoop, because if I never see the freaking drive to the hoop, jump up in there, and then throw it out another time, that will be too soon. Seen it enough in that career. These two super seniors who've been around this program need to step it up or step out. I know Barnes won't bench him. He will not do it. He won't, because he won't play a freshman. If he does, he's going to, as soon as they make a mistake, he's going to jerk them out. But we can let Vescovy sit and make them all night long. Last thing, where's this team go moving forward? They're playing an 8-man rotation right now. You got 4 points out of your bench tonight. 4 freaking points. Gainey can do nothing right now. He's not had a good game in a while. He's a liability almost. Meshack is what he is. He's a high-energy guy. He does a lot. He's not in for his offense. I'm not faulting him when he's in not scoring. That's not his role on the team. Could he have more of a presence offensively? I believe he could, but it's not his role. Awaka, same thing with him. He's not in to score those points. Justin Gainey's in to score points. Santiago Vescovy's in to score points. Josiah Jordan James is in to do a little bit of everything. Score points is part of that. Right there's 3 guys that's dropping the ball. Hurting this team. Hasn't been a big issue with James. Vescovy, more times than not, has not shown up this year. Gainey, he's been irrelevant for a while. It's time to start seeing some of these other guys can provide something. Take a little bit of the leash off of them. This win against Rick Barnes in recruiting against Wake Forest. Wake Forest recruited against them, against the guard. Can't remember the name off the top of my head. If you listen to this, and you can leave a name in the comment. But it was one of the things Steve Forbes told the guy, you got freedom here to make a mistake. You're not getting that at Tennessee. That went against them. It went against them. Rick Barnes has got 1 recruit coming in, and Bishop Boswell. Recruits are taking notice. They want to come in and at least be free to play. Julian Phillips, it was in his head so much last year, he was irrelevant at the end of the year. Kennedy Chandler was almost the exception. Ziegler was almost the exception as freshman under Barnes. It's gotten more where these guys can't come in and make a mistake without getting pulled. Yet, we can let the veterans do it. I hate that philosophy. I absolutely hate it. But it is what it is. It's going to be the Rick Barnes philosophy. It's what we're going to see. Where do they go moving forward? You got Georgia on the road Saturday at 12. Will not be an easy game. This team goes down, and your super seniors crap the bed again and don't show up. If it's up to 2 guys to carry the team, that team could very well leave Athens 1-2 in conference. We'll see how it goes. I'm curious to see how they adjust. I don't like the 8-man rotation. If you got 8 effective guys doing scoring, things like that, I do. You don't have 8 scorers. You don't have 8 guys that can score at any point. I'm going to wrap this thing up. I've probably ranted about enough because I just, again, hats off Mississippi State. I'm taking nothing away from them. But there's guys on Tennessee's team needs to go tonight and look in the mirror. You've been here for a while. Are you content going out this way this year? Because it's where you guys know it, Liz. I'm not overreacting. It happened in Madison Square Garden against FAU last year. The same guy's not showing up. Frank Rock, I'm coming at basketball. Not sure what I'll come at you with tomorrow. I'm going to kind of review that again. Posted something about the portal for baseball earlier. Nick Saban retiring. What effect did that have on Tennessee? Ran a little longer than I wanted to tonight, but the blood got to pumping a little bit. Make sure you like it, subscribe. If you go to the channel, depending on the sport you're looking at, I've got a playlist for football, one for basketball, one for baseball. You can go right to that and see the content I've recorded for each one. But once again, Frank Rock, House of Orange. Hopefully things will change by Saturday. Go Vols.